Hey guys, this is Fang here, coming at you with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today we're going to be discussing on why I think that Yugioh GX, and Yugioh 5Ds should be redubbed. And yeah, if you're new here, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and also hit that the bell icon. Jeez, I'm having trouble talking. So, let's get started here. Now, let me say this by saying, I don't mind the dub of Duel Monsters that we got. However, if you do mainly watch dub anime and you've seen GX, you guys actually did not watch the full show. There was a season that we didn't get, which was season 4. Why we didn't get it? Because it was dark. And we all know how 4Kids is. Which, I'm not going to just dog on 4Kids. I'll get more into that shortly. But with 5Ds, it was extremely butchered by censorship. Because 5Ds is actually, I think, the darkest out of the 3. Of course, if you want to factor in the frickin' Season 0 and the OG manga chapters, then those are even darker than 5Ds in my opinion. But, you know, at the time of when Yu-Gi-Oh! First came out over here, that was the way they did things over here. They took anime, they stripped it of its Japanese roots, they tried to Americanize it, they censor a lot of stuff, because to them, you know, and probably to us kids, you know, we thought, hey, these are really cool cartoons. And it turns out, no, this is a totally different style. You know, anime can be extremely violent. And that's why a lot of studios didn't know how to market it, because they knew some anime could get violent, and there's some NSFW themes in there as well at times. And there are anime that just deal with NSFW. I mean, heck, look at the harem animes like High School DxD, Rosario plus Vampire. Great shows in my opinion, but if there's no way those shows would have came out on Cartoon Network during the late 90s. There's no way. And it wasn't just Yu-Gi-Oh! That was butchered. Pokemon was a little bit. Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon. You know, a lot of the classic anime that we grew up on was most likely not the way that it is in Japan. But then, you know, at the same time, some people may say, well, that's what I like. Is there a problem with that? No, there's not. Heck, I watched the dub of Yu Yu Hakusho, and who knows how accurate the dub is of that. But it's still a great dub at the end of the day. It's a classic. But you know, I prefer watching shows and movies from their original countries to how they actually had them. That's why I'm not a subbed elitist. I am a original creators views elitist, if that makes any sense, right? Like, some people may say, well, you know, you like the special editions. Doesn't that go? No, because George Lucas was unhappy with how the first 3 Star Wars movies were. He didn't, you know, because they were limited by technology when they were made. So I can't blame him from going back and wanting to do things that he couldn't back during the 70s and the 80s. And I think a lot of people need to understand that with those movies. I like the special edition of Star Wars. I have no issues with them at all. But with Yu-Gi-Oh, right, the only dub we have that's fully complete is the 4Kids dub. Now, there was a uncut dub that they did with Funimation, to where it was the Japanese scripts, and they also had the actual voice actors, and, you know, well, they actually had the voice actors that worked on the 4Kids version, and the only changes they did to were they combined the English and Japanese names of some characters, like Joey, for instance. But 4Kids got into trouble with that. Later on, it kind of came back and bit them in the butt. And so there goes the chances of having more uncut Yu-Gi-Oh! And 4Kids actually did try to put out uncut anime content on DVD, but they're not that known, and a lot of people don't know about them because of how long they did it. It was a very short time span. You know, and because of the fact that people can watch the subbed version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Yugioh GX and Yugioh 5Ds easily on Crunchyroll, you would think 4K Media would put out a complete series of Yu-Gi-Oh! With both the English and Japanese versions on the discs, but they haven't. I would love to own Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, Yugioh GX, and Yugioh 5Ds on physical media, uncut. Even if it means I have to deal with subs. I have no issues with reading subs. In some cases, I recommend the sub version over the dubs any day, especially with Godzilla movies, which, the dubs is kind of why Godzilla wasn't taken seriously here in America, and we all remember that one John Belushi parody thing that they did for, I think it's when Godzilla vs. Megalon first came out on TV. So, because of that, people think Godzilla is cheesy, and it's not. Especially the freaking OG 1954 movie. And at the end of the day, though, too, right, is that in Japan, they like making fun stuff. And Godzilla and all the Godzilla movies are fun movies to watch. But they do have some serious topics in them. And that gets ignored in the freaking American version. You know, for the longest time over here, the only way you could watch Godzilla, at least the 1954 version, is with the Americanized edit of Godzilla King of the Monsters. You know, I prefer watching the actual original way these creators make their stuff. So for me, if I'm going to watch the freaking OG Godzilla, I'm going to watch the actual version from Japan. I'm not going to watch the one that they did over here. Same thing with King Kong vs. Godzilla. Because of the Criterion Collection, including the OG, well, the actual Japanese, like, full-on uncut version of King Kong vs. Godzilla, I'm going to be watching that version mostly. I mean, I love the cut that they did for America. It's a fun movie to watch still, but give me the actual OG uncut one from Japan with subs. But then with anime, during recent years, they started to be more like the Japanese version. Now, obviously, they're right. When it comes to more of the more niche anime, yes, they have kind of came under fire with pushing agendas in, which is where you can give another point towards watching subs. You won't have to deal with that. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to dogpile on someone if they watch the dubs. That's their right. That's what they like. I prefer watch anime my way. Other people like watching it their way. And that's totally okay. And I'm not 100% against the dubs. While yes, I do not have that much respect for voice actors anymore. At least Funimation's voice actors. I still like the English Yugioh voice actors a lot. Which is where I bring up the fact that why I think that now, oh my god, if I can talk. Now this is where we can segue into why I think Yugioh GX and Yugioh 5Ds deserves a redub. Those voice actors are amazing. When you think of Yugi and Atem, you think of Dan Green. When you think of Seto Kaiba, you think of Eric Stewart. Right? The dub is good, but the original version of Yugioh, the Japanese one, there's so much deep stuff in there. Like, imagine Atem talking about what makes a true duelist with, like, Dan Green's voice. That would be amazing. You know, think about that classic line that Kaiba says in the sub when he gives motivation to Yugi about dealing with Cypher, to where, about, bringing God down and all that, Those shows deserves a high quality dub. There's so much context that is missing from the sub. I mean, not from the sub, but from those dubs. And sometimes, I'm not going to say I wish I experienced the sub first. But even before the whole Funimation controversy thing, I was in a way kind of starting to watch anime and sub. Naruto. Because what happened was Viz started doing a simulcast of Naruto Shippuden over here. This was even before the dub came out. And that's how I watched Naruto, the sequel to Naruto. And I enjoyed it. And I started to really like the sub voices. And I would, then after that, I would switch between the English and sub voices. But now I just play with the sub voices because I'm more used to them now. And plus, with them redoing that, redubbing those series, uncut, we would get Season 4 of GX over here finally. We would get all the missing episodes of 5Ds that we weren't able to get because of, of the court case between 4K and the owners of Yugioh. In a lot of ways, I see more positives than the negative. That doesn't mean that this would replace the OG dub. Did Dragon Ball Z Kai replace the actual OG Dragon Ball Z that we grew up with? No. You can still watch that dub. Even though, yes, technically, the dub in Kai is a lot more superior over the dub that's in, OG Dragon Ball Z. Although we do need a redub of OG Dragon Ball and GT. And we also need a redub of those one episodes that they started to screw up with in Super during the Universal Survivor Saga. And we also need a redub of the movies as well. But that's a different topic for a different video. So, you know, and plus two, they can literally call it Yu-Gi-Oh! Uncut. So this way, on store shelves, you have the OG Yu-Gi-Oh! Dub complete series, and then you have the Yu-Gi-Oh! Uncut complete series. And to me, if I walked into a store and I saw both, I would buy both. Why? I love Yu-Gi-Oh! I love the OG dub. Actually, there is one dub change that I do approve of that 4Kids did. The Shadow Realm. To me, that's a bit more darker than just simply dying. Shadow Realm implies purgatory. And what's worse than death? Purgatory. So it's kind of ironic. 4Kids goes out of their way to censor a lot of anime that deals with that sort of topic, and yet they created something that's far worse than death. That's ironic. That's irony. And it makes you wonder if, like, during, like, you know, board meetings, if they discuss that, like, hey, don't you think Shadow Realm is, like, a lot worse than death? Well, you know, as long as we don't mention death, we don't have to, you know, worry about things. Which is kind of ironic, too, because Star Wars The Clone Wars, both the animated, well, both the 2D animated one and the 3D one, both showed death in it. And they showed decapitation. And it's kind of funny how studios think at times with that. You know, but I do think nowadays we do need a physical way to watch Uncut Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I want to own them for my anime collection. You know, yes, I mean, like, I love the fact that they have it on Crunchyroll, but the problem is, what if Crunchyroll loses the rights to stream them? They'll be gone. And that's the big problem with, you know, a all-digital streaming future. Let's say they stop physical media. Well, if you want to watch an anime, you better watch it when you see it on that streaming service, or else it could be gone the next day, or in 2 weeks, or in a year. So, I'm going to end this by saying, yes, I do think we need a redub. Yes, I do think there's ways to also do that by maybe, like, you know, if they can't do a redub, at least put out a freaking uncut Blu-ray of the first three series of Yu-Gi-Oh! With the subs. And I think that's it for this video. Like I said, you don't have to, like I said, you can like the dub. That's totally fine. I just want another way to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! With its original context intact. And I do have it with Crunchyroll, but I miss Dan Green's voice. Like I said, he does a great job voicing Atem and Yugi Moto. And I was gonna say something else here, but I can't think of anything. So, with that said, I hope you all enjoy this, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one. Later, guys.